The governor this is his second time in town here, right? What is going on?
Yeah, so he came, obviously, to take a look at the Sequoia Creek, the flooded area, or the area that causes the flooding in Whitesboro, and he was very critical of CSX.
It's a railroad bridge that they say is too low.
Correct.
And is causing all the flooding over there.
Based on some photos that we got submitted to us by a listener, and you can see a couple of those on our website, you can totally see how the bridge kind of, with the ice, it kind of dams up, and it sends the water all over the place.
So that was going on yesterday. It's the second time because the mayor or the governor was here last weekend, right?
He was here on Saturday, yes.
For the winter storm overkill, I thought anyway. Maybe not, though. But this thing is a real problem over there. It hasn't been solved. They've been trying to solve it for several years, and maybe this is it. They're talking about the potential of suing the railroad to get this fixed. Some sort of solution has to come out of this thing, right?
Yes, I'm sorry. I just laughed because it just, the whole Saturday thing, again, I know Jim Piccola came in, he said there was no resources used locally to accommodate the governor when he came in during the weekend. But, I mean, the TV news, the radio news, our website, everybody who does anything about news or Central New York or the Mohawk Valley was like, oh, my gosh, it's going to snow. It could get up to 2 feet.
Yeah.
Here's the precautions you take. Here's the roads that are closed. Here's where you can travel if you're a truck. Here's where you can't travel if you're a truck, and on and on.
We're kind of used to it, even though we haven't had the big storm this year, although that one probably was a decent storm. We're kind of used to it. And I also felt it was a bit overkill to shut down the thruway to tractor trailers and buses, because what are they supposed to do? I get it. I do get it. You don't want one of those to jackknife, and it causes huge problems on the thruway. But this was, in my opinion, a bit of overkill. It wasn't 3, 4, 5 feet of snow. Although up north Tug Hill, there's a winter storm warning today and tonight and into tomorrow. They could get a couple of feet of snow.
And you got the forecasters, meteorologists for, whether it's Real or Cardis or our Rachel Witter, whoever it is, warning and warning and warning. And he thinks it's more important when he comes in and he's like, it's going to snow.
Yeah. That helps all of us. Rachel Sutherland standing by right now from Fox News. It looked like last night there was some sort of a deal maybe being in the works, and at least it looks like they're talking. McConnell and Schumer. What does it look like here this morning, Rachel?
Hey, good morning. Yeah, there is.
By the way,
discussion.
all of this. Hold on, Rachel, just for 1 second, because everything is out for some reason. Try it right now. Yeah, I think I got
good
you.
morning.
Good morning. So,
yeah,
what are we looking like?
There is a deal.
There is.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. There's discussions on a deal.
Right. So it looked promising last night. The president did move, saying he would accept whatever the Senate and Congress put together, which is definitely movement in the right direction.
Absolutely. But my last check was that he still wanted a down payment on border wall funding. Now, exactly how much that is, we don't know. And when Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer were leaving the Capitol last night, they were saying that they're talking. Pelosi saying that she's optimistic. This is definitely kind of turning the ship around. Sometimes it takes time to turn the ship around, though. So I'm not sure how quickly they'll be able to maybe piece things together and get the government reopened. But this is definitely movement after yesterday when both those bills failed as expected.
And I wonder if an investment can be like that word is thrown around loosely, at least in radio. We're going to make an investment in the morning show. We're really going to try to work with you guys. I've heard that several times in my career. So there's no money there, by the way. We're going to give you the resources you need. I wonder if they'll be colorful with the language here a little bit.
Yeah, I think both sides really here need to be able to save face.
Yeah.
Because they've been so entrenched. If one just capitulates, it could have very negative repercussions politically for them. So both sides need to be able to say, we won something.
Yeah. And don't you have the feeling that they're all prepared and ready to do that? They're all going to come out and say this is victory. Ultimately, though, it's these furloughed workers that are the ones that are the losers in all of this. I mean, yesterday being told, hey, go out and take out a loan. I mean, this should be really simple. But if you're living paycheck to paycheck or your credit's not very good, getting a loan is not as easy as it seems.
Right, and actually went out to some place called the World Central Kitchen here in Washington. It's right there on Pennsylvania Avenue. And what they're doing is feeding federal workers for free. And this is put together by celebrity chef Jose Andres. And it's not, people sometimes think inside the Beltway, you got money, what are you worried about?
Right.
But some of these people really are. I was talking to them, living paycheck to paycheck. Mm-hmm. But they're giving away not just like chips and stuff. We're talking fresh fruit. There was a quinoa bowl. Really good stuff.
Yeah.
And they're giving away diapers. And there was actually some of the utilities here in Washington on site, like Pepco, working out plans with federal workers to get them through this time.
It was Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross that made the statement yesterday, which really
a little tone deaf.
I think if there was any statement during this entire shutdown that would make everybody move, especially the president move just a little bit, it was his statement yesterday. I think that really stung.
It did. I actually asked the workers about it, and they were not pleased because, again, he doesn't understand maybe not having a bunch of money in the bank to get you through.
Right.
And I think it's the uncertainty. Some workers are telling me, well, we've been through shutdowns before. The first week or so we weren't worried about it. Then when the president said things like, we'll keep it shut down for months, if not years, that's when you start to worry.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, interesting. Maybe the deal will come today. It will be interesting to follow. Rachel Sutherland, thanks so much. We appreciate it. From Fox News, Rachel Sutherland. Yeah, I'm uncomfortable. We've had this discussion on the radio here. I am uncomfortable with people saying, "Hey, you should have saved up. You should have planned for a rainy day." You don't understand. We don't understand what we shouldn't feel that we understand what our neighbors are going through financially. Now, it might mean they're just irresponsible with their money. Too many trips, too many toys. Could be.
Well, it's their money,
though. It could also be that they're in a really tough position. Who knows? It could be a medical situation. It could be anything.
100% agree.
But to say, hey, it's your own fault.
You should have savings just in case your job decides to not pay you for 3 weeks.
That's exactly. I'm uncomfortable with that. I can't believe that we're allowing politics. We're allowing politics to cloud our minds so that we say something stupid like that. And what the Commerce Secretary said yesterday is, I don't understand. The federal government is guaranteeing these loans. Just go to the bank and take out a loan. That's not easy if you don't have good credit.
Right. And some of it, I agree.
It's basically almost impossible. Now, you might be able to pay a 25% interest rate.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, just some of the lenders. I know there was one bank that was offering like a special loan, as long as they pay it back, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of the times, these one-time, one-day, kind of one-week payday loans.
There are loans out there where you
scams,
can pay.
Basically.
You can pay on a weekly basis. There are loans out there where you can just go down to the neighborhood corner and work out a deal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we should be a little bit more sympathetic to these people who have no skin in the game. This is not their. One of the comments that was, well, they should be understanding that this is a sacrifice you have to make for the security of America. Okay, come on. My question then would be, where was this dire need for security in the last year and a half, 2 years, when the president had a Republican-controlled Congress? Where was this dire need to move quickly? So I just feel like this is political. I don't feel like it's political. We know it's political. But we should have a little bit of sympathy on these government workers. And I do think the Commerce Chief coming out and saying that tone-deaf comment that he made yesterday is really what's gotten everybody to move. I think we are in a position where we might see a deal by the weekend. It'd be nice. This thing could end, and these guys could actually govern. What else do we have here today? It's Friday, January 25th, Syracuse last night. Anybody see the game? Davey, of course, was there. Awesome performance.
It was on PNY, by the way.
It was on PNY, and it was on the Guide by afternoon.
It was, okay.
It was, and it was an awesome performance. What has happened to this Syracuse offense that has come alive there, Davey?
They've woken up.
They have awakened. There's no doubt about it. And Boeheim looked he was popping them from 3-point range.
And so was Elijah Hughes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really, really good. Did you watch the game? You did.
I did not. A nice 20-point win, though. I did check out the recap and some of the highlights.
We'll talk to Willie Waffle on the movies. There's a new one coming out tonight that looks pretty good. I don't know. It's King. The guy I forget the name of it. I'll give it to you in a second, though. I have it written down somewhere here.
Is
Jim,
it the Serenity or
no.
Kid Who Would Be King?
The Kid Who Would Be King. Maybe that also is Serenity. I don't know. Jim Piccola coming up from the DOT on the flooding cleanup and traffic updates and where we stand here with everything. And, of course, what's happening over there in Whitesboro, where there was, and here we are in the middle of winter dealing with some pretty tough flooding over there. Tough to watch. Free money question this morning. Councilman Mark Williamson is in. I want to get into this whole Valley View golf course debacle that seems to be a debacle. They want to get rid of the commission. I'm not sure that's the right way to go, but there was a meeting that was yesterday. We'll talk to the Whitesboro mayor later on. Nagel is in today. I got a whole bunch of stuff, plus our free money question of the day to get into. Pete on the government shutdown. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning, Bill. I heard you say that it's political, and I don't deny that. But
yeah.
Do you also think it's political on the Pelosi-Schumer side as well?
Well, of course I do. I think it's political. I've said that countless times on the radio. It's political for everybody. You've got one side holding out. You got the other side holding out. I'd call that political. I'm not pointing fingers in one single direction. But ultimately, the president's the one that kind of said that he was going to own this thing and proudly own it. So I think they're all...
He said he was going to own it for the sake of border security, which was one of his campaign promises.
Sure.
And I don't understand why the majority, at least the last time I saw a poll of the American people, think it's his fault. Pelosi and Schumer and Clinton and a whole bunch of the other guys voted for border security at a much higher amount.
Yeah. Can I ask you,
2013?
I think part of the problem is, Pete, it's the one thing that's glaring here is that for the last 2 years he had a Republican-controlled Senate and House. Why wasn't this such a dire emergency then? That's why I think the general public is not on his side here. But I do think this thing's going to come to a conclusion in the next maybe 48 hours. I hope anyway. But right, why not? Why wasn't it taken care of in the last 2 years? Why is this such a dire emergency right now? That's the part that I think hurts him. And listen, I get it. If you're pro-Trump and all you get everywhere you turn is people being negative on Donald Trump, calling for him to be removed from office, et cetera, I get it. But sometimes you got to look at things from the center logically. And if you can't see why the general public looks negatively on the president here on this issue, I don't know why you can't see it, because it's obvious that it's because there were 2 years that this could have been taken care of. I'm not trying to be.
I don't understand why he didn't do that.
That's
because
the point.
I don't know what the dynamic was. Maybe there's a reason.
You know what the dynamic really was? It was the midterms. They were all worried about, boy, if we do this, we're going to go back home, we're going to lose. And I think that is part of the problem. Do you know, we've been told that when these guys go to Congress, they start every day the same way, going to a phone bank, making phone calls, and raising money for their individual party. It's Republicans and Democrats. And I almost feel like the minute they get into office, they begin campaigning for the next election.
I couldn't agree more. You know what? It would be interesting if you just someday take part of your show and ask the American people why they don't have the spine to insist upon term limits. I think that would end a lot of problems.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Posturing you're talking about. Yeah. Because you're right. As soon as they get elected, they start running again.
All over.
And it's silly. Well, anyway, Bill, thank you very much for your perspective.
Pete,
meanwhile, you've got the U.S. senators have six-year terms, which is better than 2. You got judges that have 12-year terms. I was just talking to somebody this. Congress is an important position. I feel like they should have term limits, but they should have a little bit more time to kind of get.
Well, the House of Representatives were designed. It was designed to be the people's the people's representative, and it was designed that they would go and they would spend their 2 years and But now this becomes, you spend your 2 years, actually you spend your first 2 days, and then you start campaigning because, hey, this is only 2 years. This term's only 2 years. We got to start campaigning.
Can I just say one thing? Actually, a couple of things. One is, I think you're right, but while it was intended to be that, I don't think 200 years ago they anticipated this nonstop media election
maybe
cycle.
We've grown on.
Right.
Maybe we've grown to a point where it needs to be longer.
Your point on the 6 years, it's funny you mentioned that because what I was going to say was Gillibrand, who was just campaigning in October, saying, "I will not run for president," has already
she's
announced
finish her term.
She's running for president, right? And the thing's 2 years away, and she's not even a full month into her new 6-year term. She's already running for the next thing.
Yeah.
And then the other point to the caller, I agree with what he's saying, but here's the problem. And we've seen this over and over again in polling. Everybody hates Congress, but everybody likes their congressperson.
Yeah.
So when your one congressperson says, "Yeah, I think we should have term limits," they go back to Washington, and it's it's literally one man or woman taking on an army of other people who say, we're not going to tackle that right now.
And you see it on the state level as well.
You can demand it till the cows come home, but if you in central New York have an impact on whether Pelosi's in or, I don't know, you name it, Schumer or who's the guy who was going to run for Supreme Court in Texas? I can't think of his name. He ran for president. You just name the
Ted Cruz.
Yeah, you have no say on. You only have say on your person.
It's
That's
like
why
the,
a lot of your immediate needs and the way you think things should be don't happen.
And let's not forget that the term limit issue has been controversial, not just at the federal level, but the state level. But we've seen it highly under the magnifying glass in the city of Utica.
Oh, yeah.
What has happened in the city? It's crazy. But listen, Pete's right. There's blame on all sides. When I say it's political, I'm not pointing fingers at just one side. We are a broken government, and it's tough to sit here and watch it. Oh, boy. Got a break. We'll come back and talk more about this and so much more here for a Friday morning. As Andrew says, happy Friday. I like that because it's Friday.
Yep.
A little bit of a break for the weekend. How about this story? I don't know if you saw this story of a superintendent of schools in Indiana that was arrested for insurance fraud. And you know why? She pretended a sick student was her son, so he could be treated at the hospital for strep throat. The kid didn't have insurance; he couldn't go to the doctors, couldn't afford it, and so she worked it out where they used her insurance. But she's been arrested for it.
God.
I mean, her intentions
arrested for it.
Arrested, yeah.
Well, I think that's a little bit much.
Her intention was in a good place. There's no doubt. However, it's still breaking the law.
I guess it is. Yeah, that absolutely is.
Here's the soft, soothing voice of County Prosecutor Rodney Cummings on the story. Here we go.
She checked him in as her son and used her insurance to pay for the medical service on the young man. Doing the right thing is good. She didn't do the right thing the right way. I understand it was her desire to help a young man that was in bad shape, but probably not the best example to set for young people to assume other identities and make false statements. I think
when I think about it, I do think what she did was thoughtful and nice, but it is not the right thing to do. So you had to get this kid to pretend he was her son.
A little weird.
Yeah.
And it was strep throat.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's if it was some sort of treatment that he needed to do, ongoing treatment, I could see. But for strep throat?
Yeah. Jamal Adams of the New York Jets was signing autographs at a Pro Bowl event on Wednesday when he saw the Patriots mascot.
Oh, this is awesome.
And hit him with a running tackle.
Oh, and he leveled him, too.
The mascot, unfortunately, the mascot did not see it coming. And so there's a superintendent of schools that had to use her insurance. She tried to tell them the mascot was her son because he had to go to the hospital.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
What an idiot.
Yeah. The mascot had to go to the hospital. Apparently, he's okay.
He tore his ACL. He's out for 2019.
Yeah. Jamal says it was just a joke. He didn't mean anything bad to happen. So, oh, Lordy.
You're a jerk, dude.
That's
well,
stupid.
I got to tell you, it was funny, though. He got a running start
It's
and
funny,
leveled
but
him.
how'd you like to be that? And
I know. What did that guy do?
And the problem is the mascots are the guys who can't play football.
And make nothing.
Right. They make no money at all.
Probably doesn't have insurance.
There's a lot of padding in those guys.
Shut up.
And in August, September, and October, it's usually like hot. And
if he does
90, 100 degrees inside that thing.
When he does this, if he does this to the worth probably $1 billion Tom Brady. He gets arrested. He does it to the mascot, and everyone high-fives him.
Funny.
It's probably some 20-year-old college kid.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. What a dirtbag. I don't like that.
I know.
Move
You should
at
go
all.
and you should write a letter.
I should.
You should go down there and tell him off.
I have to say, though, I'm with Manaski. I think that was
Give
really
me a
bad.
cigarette and a pen. Get in here.
No cigarette.
Here's
No cigarette.
Here's Willie Waffle standing by right now. Good morning, Willie. Good morning.
Well, good morning to you guys.
A couple of, I think, promising movies, I hope. We'll get to that, but I wanted your take on the Oscars. Anything get snubbed, in your opinion, unfairly? Anything get nominated that shouldn't? What's your whole thought on the nomination process?
Well, I've got one good, one bad. Here's my bad. I was really shocked Bradley Cooper did not get nominated for Best Director for A Star Is Born.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, he's the reason Lady Gaga looks like she can act.
Yeah.
Like, literally, that is a director's movie, setting that tone, framing those scenes in a way that you could take advantage of what skills this woman does have as an actress, because she's acted before, and nobody thought she was Oscar nominated then.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Give this guy a little bit of credit.
Yeah, and that was one of the stories that came out of it. A lot of people were surprised he didn't get a nomination.
Oh, absolutely. And then I'll throw my good in there. Black Panther gets nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah, that's
I
big.
just think it's fun. I think they desperately need some movie that everybody's seen to be eligible for Best Picture. So maybe someone will tune in and watch the show.
Yeah. And what is the latest on their the plan for a host? There will be no host, or
there will be no host.
Yeah.
They're just going to kind of go with an MC who will then introduce all of your stars as they come out and then give out their awards like normal. I think they're removing the personality from the show.
And one final, I'll save my final question for last. So I'm with you on that. It's going to be interesting to see how this thing goes. The only reason I ever watch it is because you get someone in there that's an awesome comedian who insults people, and there's awkwardness, and I love that. That's why I watch, and that's completely gone this time.
Oh, no, my favorite parts of the Oscar shows are always when the host takes a nice shot at people in Hollywood, and they cringe and they feel uncomfortable, and I'm like, but I'm laughing, and everybody at home is laughing.
Loving it, and that won't exist here. So, all right, The Kid Who Would Be King. What do you think about this one?
It's an okay movie. I think it's really made for kids, and I think that's where maybe the disconnect is for me. It's about this young kid. He's like maybe like 12 years old, and he's bullied at school. Him and his friends are like the outcasts, but he always stands up for them, and he always fights. And one day when he's running from the bullies, he finds Excalibur, the sword in the stone, and he pulls it out, and now I guess he's king because some evil demon's back, and she wants to fight him with all of her zombie hordes, and he's got to unite all the kids at his school to be the Knights of the Round Table.
And, I mean, it looks like it looks good. What do you think? What do you give it?
I'm saying 2 waffles. I think it's a very simple movie as far as the story and the morals are really in your face, but it's made for kids. I mean, that's why it's so simple. That's why it's so obvious. So I can't hold that too much against it, but I'm still saying 2 waffles because I'm an adult, and I'll be honest with you, I almost fell asleep. I thought it was way too long.
Wow. Okay. All right. I won't go see that. Serenity, Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway. What do you think?
Yeah. Oh my God. This movie is in for a lot of trouble when the amazingly shirtless Matthew McConaughey suddenly becomes the amazingly pantsless Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, there's a story out there that I had yesterday. I didn't even get into it, but the whole thing about he doesn't really know if they actually show his genitalia. It's a thing. I really don't care to see that. Is that in the movie?
I saw a whole bunch of booty, but I did not see a frontal angle, as one might say.
All right. Well, at least that's helpful.
Yeah, but it's such a sign of desperation.
Yeah,
because the movie stinks. I mean, it's really horrible. I mean, this idea that he's this fishing boat captain and his ex-wife Anne Hathaway shows up and offers him $10 million to get rid of her current husband, who's a horrible jerk, who beats her, who beats their child. and we have to wonder whether or not he's going to take her up on the offer.
Yeah.
And so in one way, it's an homage to those great film noirs of the 40s, but it doesn't quite go far enough. So Anne Hathaway is doing her best to be that type of sultry sex kitten, but it doesn't fit with this movie because it has more of a modern feel.
Yeah.
And Matthew McConaughey has more of a modern feel. And then none of it matters because they throw in one of the most ridiculous, obscene twists I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, you know that when Willie goes in, kicks into his Seinfeld voice, it's really bad.
I'm not saying you're acting, but you deserve an Oscar. You are 100% into. I've never heard you so passionate about anything in my life.
Can you reveal what this was? What it is?
I cannot reveal what it is, but I will say this. It is so ridiculous. M. Night Shyamalan's even going, dude, I think you went too far.
Wow.
All right. What do you give this blockbuster?
Half a waffle.
All right.
Wow. It's not even worth seeing.
Well, there's two movies that I thought were really promising, and it's back to Netflix, which the Bundy thing started this week, the actual documentary. Yeah. That's quite creepy and something to watch, from what I understand.
Oh, I totally want to see that. I mean, I remember, really, Ted Bundy was like the prototypical, standard bearer, for lack of a better term, for serial killers in America.
Yeah.
And the idea that he was this charming, good-looking guy who went after girls that would be your sister or your daughter.
Yeah.
And that's why he was so dangerous and why people still remember him to this day.
I think it started last night on Netflix, but it's either way this week it's available on to see on Netflix. The other thing that I've been all about is this Fire Festival documentary. There's two of them. One is on Netflix and one is on Hulu, and includes a local guy from up here, which is kind of interesting. So, all right, Willie, interesting stuff. It's wafflemovies.com. 2 stinkers this week. We appreciate your time.
Hey, anytime, guys. I took one for the team.
Yeah, you did.
Okay?
Yeah. Especially, it sounds like it was an awkward one for the team with the McConaughey movie. So, all right.
Yes, it was.
Thanks, man. WaffleMovies.com.
Can I just quickly? Good morning, Carter Jackson. He's watching. He's up early this morning.
Very nice.
He was up with Daddy early.
Minaski's
early.
Young son. Hold on tight. We have a lot to get to coming up next hour. Jim Picola, we're going to talk about the flooding over in Whitesboro, the cleanup, the traffic updates. It's been some really, they've had a tough week. You have the flooding over there. You have the water main break that happened over near John Street. That was quite a disaster to deal with.
Oh, yeah.
A snowstorm on one side, another sloppy couple of days here. It's been a very difficult week for those people who plow and the DOT and all of that. Also, next hour, the issue of the Valley View Golf Course. Why is it this thing just can't run properly? It's so simple. It's a beautiful golf course, smack dab in the middle of the city, surrounded by an awesome restaurant. This should be pretty easy, right? But it isn't. We'll get to it next hour coming up at WIBX. We had him here on the radio twice, 2 or 3 times. We've had him on with his book, and he's always very forthcoming with us anyway. But I recall, and we'll have to go back and check the interview, I recall him talking about, I worry that they're going to come and arrest me. I think they're going to, this witch hunt, they're going to come after me. I believe that was in the conversation that we had with him.
Interesting.
And now it's been, I think the last time we had him on was probably what?
Last year, half a year ago, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's been a while. The editorial op-ed that I did on the kids out of Kentucky, man, I just keep getting hammered on this thing, and I stand up for what I said. I think all parties are wrong, including the kids. Don't go making these kids out to be all respectful. I don't buy it. And that's how I feel.
Well,
not another complaint.
Yes.
Well,
and this is a long one, too. You better buckle up.
Good.
Just one point, and I'm glad you pointed this out. This was your opinion. It was an opinion piece. It says
it's
it on there.
It's the opinion of WIBX, I'm pretty sure.
It's not the opinion of WIBX.
It is.
It's Bill Keeler's opinion.
Everyone agrees with me.
So,
I took a poll in the hallway.
I'll get more into that, why I'm saying that in a second. Okay, so anyway, this comes from a listener. I do not have a name. I hope that with new evidence, Keeler will retract his condemnation of the Covington High School boys. 1, the boys were not surrounding the Indian. The black Israelites were threatening them. You want to respond point by point?
Yeah, moron, that's in the story. If you read my op-ed, you'd know what I'm talking about.
2, the Indian was not a Vietnam vet. In fact, he was a Marine but went AWOL.
That's not in the story. It doesn't say that he was a Vietnam veteran.
3, no one shouted build the wall, and even if they did, freedom of speech, but not for the white Christian boys.
I don't know anything about build the wall. I don't know what you're talking about.
4, the Indian was thrown out of a Catholic service the day before because he was pounding his drum in church. They locked him out.
I don't know about that. I thought it was the black Israelites that were interrupting the service, so I think the facts are wrong, but it might be true. Again, it still doesn't have anything to do with what I wrote in that op-ed.
Number 5, I don't quite understand.
Did you skip 4, or was that the one where he was?
He was thrown out, yeah.
Okay, good.
Number 5, these are in all bold, high school white Catholics. For their age, they acted like gentlemen compared to the adults surrounding them.
I disagree. Do you ignore the fact that they're like, and by the way, this is the chaperone's fault for encouraging them. I disagree. My whole point is that they were disrespectful, and if they were my kids, I would be highly disappointed. Let's not forget, they're in the middle of this dangerous situation with these crazies, the black Israelites, whatever the hell they are, screaming racial things, anti-gay stuff. At any point, that could have become something that was violent. And now you got a kid, takes his shirt off, he's jumping up and down, he's got everybody chanting. No, there's not a teacher in the world or a principal in the world, in my opinion, that would be like, hey, this is a good situation. Keep chanting. I wouldn't want my kids to be doing that. So I'm sorry. You are wrong, in my opinion.
Number 6.
Opinion. Can I say it again? I won't.
These kids never experienced a situation like that. They did not know what to do. They acted accordingly, not violently.
I don't believe they acted violently, and I never said that they did. I said disrespectfully.
This is fake news, and you need to correct it. They actually acted more adult than the Indian and Israelites.
Okay. If I could add, just step in on that. It's an opinion piece. It's not news. Therefore, it cannot be fake news.
It's real opinions.
It is an opinion.
We keep our news fake, but our opinions are quite raw.
All the news is fake as hell. Okay, I'll admit that. But that is clearly, clearly, and not only is it opinion, and we're telling you it's an opinion, but it's in the God-blessed headline.
He jumped to conclusions without all the facts. You should know better. Very disturbed by this reporting.
Okay. Well, I'm disturbed by this moron.
Again, it's Bill's opinion. So
okay.
Yeah, that was it. There was something else I wanted to share with you too.
Well, I appreciate it. It's always nice to share things with you, since you don't smoke. Everything's always negative. Hey, I've got something good to share with you. This person hates your guts. All righty then. Let's have some fun.
Can I? Did I already say this? I think I already said this. How horrible I had of a night last night.
Can I only just one more response to this person?
Go ahead.
Listen, I get you have an opinion. That's your opinion. And while I have mine is not a political opinion. So therefore, the Indian, as you call him, Native American, it's more respectful. The old guy, 75, whatever, who's not the Vietnam veteran, he's the Native American. If he did go into that church and was banging on the drum, and I believe I read that it was the black Israelites that interrupted that service, but I could be wrong. It has nothing at all to do with anything. It's almost like your argument is a junior high argument, like, yeah, but look what she did. No, it has nothing to do with it. Yes, they were shouting out obscenities, the black, what is their name? Hebrew Israelites.
Yeah.
And that was horrible. They were in the wrong. And I do think the Native American kind of took advantage of the whole situation, and there was a sloppy reporter in there, and they didn't get their facts straight. So on so many different levels, this story was wrong and probably never should have seen the light of day. Had the chaperone moved those kids away from there, they could have. They had every ability to do that. And as Ryan Noble said yesterday, they weren't even in the area where the buses are supposed to pick them up. They could easily have been removed. But the chaperone was enjoying this back and forth and encouraged these kids to do this. So my only point is, the guy's 85 years old. He could be the biggest moron in the world. But I don't want my kids making fun of someone like him. And they were. You watch the video. I don't know about this person, but I watched the whole video. It's long. It's like a 90-minute video, and I went through the whole thing because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing something. And I'm sure the video doesn't tell everything, but it does tell me this. It was a bad situation for kids to be. Any chaperone or teacher that would have allowed that to happen is in the wrong. The school in the wrong. But I would, if it were my kids, I would hope that my kids would be more respectful. That's my opinion. It's a parenting thing. It's not a political thing. And even in my op-ed, this person read it, but I'm sure they didn't read through it. They read the headline and became incensed and then fired off this ridiculous email. But if you read my whole story, it says at the end it would be an interesting experiment if you were to take the hat off the kid and put it on the Native American and have the kid marching for pro-abortion, not pro-life. I wonder if people's opinions would change. Because it wouldn't change mine. You still have disrespectful kids. That's my opinion.
The only point, in my opinion, if I can give that, the only point that I disagree with you is I don't think this was a sloppy reporter. I think this was, to the point you just made, who's wearing the MAGA hat.
You might, there might be someone, it might be a reporter who has an agenda. That's certainly possible.
And I think, to your point,
and I think that the Native American guy completely took advantage of that because his initial story was different from the next story he gave. So his story changed. He's not innocent in this thing either. I think
a lot of people's opinions completely 180 on this. Like the people who think the kids were wrong for political reasons, if, as you indicated, the Native Americans wearing the MAGA hat, those people think the kids were right and the Native Americans crazy, and vice versa. And the kids backing.
Listen, the liberals would have hated the Native American if he was wearing a Make America Great hat again. Or whatever the hat is.
And I don't know.
I completely agree with that. But can't you just simply look at my op-ed for what it is? I just didn't like how the kids acted, and I don't want them to be portrayed as heroes in this story. It has nothing to do with the hat they were wearing or politics. I also feel that it's a given. It should be a given that the black Hebrew Israelites were bigots and homophobes and horrible by the things that they were saying. And those were kids. They shouldn't even have been having that type of conversation with kids to begin with. And I think the Native American guy kind of let people get the story wrong and took advantage of it. And so I think they were all wrong.
I don't know who this is, but someone just chimed in. Agree with Bill 100%. All
right. Well, that's nice. Thanks for being the only one out
It wasn't Governor Cuomo, I can tell you that.
Thankfully, because I wouldn't want you to run with that. 724. In studio right now. Man, you guys, Jim Piccola's in here, and I don't want to drag you into this conversation. You guys need a weekend off. This was a long week and weekend from last weekend. You guys have had it pretty tough over the... And it's you, and it's the municipalities, it's everybody. This has been a rough week.
Yeah, it's been a long week. Yeah, absolutely. With the storm,
started with the storm, then terrible cold, the water main break.
Yeah,
now flooding, and man, what a week. So, how are we doing? How's the flooding, by the way? How's that situation over in Whitesboro?
The flooding is, the water's receding. They're breaking up that ice dam. They worked pretty late yesterday. I think probably around 10, 11 o'clock. Working on that. I'm not sure if they'll be out there again this morning. I'm sure they're going to assess it again, see if there's anything they can do with the equipment there. And then right now, though, we do have Route 5 in Kirkland closed, and that's going to probably take most of the day to clean all that up.
Wow.
What happened over there? Flooding?
Flooding there, too. Yeah. So.
I got to tell you, I forgot where I was driving yesterday. I had to go out to Holland Patton, and one of those creeks I was traveling over to get there, and it probably was because I went through Whitesboro, so that's probably the same Sequoia Creek. High, with a lot of ice running through it, and it was, you could tell it was at a dangerous level yesterday.
Yeah, I was out there the night before, actually, and took some pictures, and everything looked really good. It just came up even in the morning, yesterday morning, it did, and it just rose pretty quick.
It rained hard for a long time, which So now you're getting the rain, but then you're getting the melt off as well on top of all of that.
Absolutely.
So okay, so I will give you this, and as you know, I never compliment the governor, but I will tell you this: he's spending a lot of time here, and he's paid a lot of attention. That we should appreciate that. I mean, he was here on this. Somebody's got to fix this problem once and for all over there.
Absolutely. With the storm too, earlier in the week, he came here. Again, making people aware that the storm is dangerous, and to really heed everybody's warnings. And then again, yesterday when he came in for the flood, he's very committed to that. He really would like to solve that issue.
Yeah.
And I think we are working very hard.
People over there that own properties and live over there, they'd like this problem solved as well. So
absolutely,
we should be appreciative of the fact that he's paying attention.
Well, and the biggest thing to come out of it was, I hope that if it's not resolved, there is legal action taken, because the most striking thing is that the county, the town, the village, the state doesn't own that bridge. Okay, but they're left to handle all the damage that arises from it, and that's a serious problem, especially when CSX, I'm sure, could probably fix it, no problem.
Well, again, we're looking at a lot of different options. We've been doing different things there. We think some of the work that they've already done has definitely helped.
Yeah.
I think if those things weren't done prior to this, it would have been a lot worse.
You think some of the things that CSX has done?
No.
Okay.
The municipalities,
right,
along with the DOT.
There's a culvert that's gone in there, and that sort of thing.
And you know what? And you feel so bad for these business owners. They've gotten to the point where they've gotten used to it. So I went to bring my sister's dog to get groomed at one of the businesses over there, and they called and said, "Hey, please don't bring the dog. We feel like we're going to get flooded, and we don't want to have more dogs here than normal." And sure enough, that they're right near the creek there. Yeah. So the fact that they're so used to it that if there's any kind of rise in level that they know they've got to adjust, it's time for a solution, I think.
Okay, so you have that's being dealt with, and then the water main break. That's been a really tight situation over there with closings and delays over John Street 5S and in that area. What do we know here this morning going into this weekend?
Right now, again, Route 5S is open east and westbound. Excuse me. John Street, we have a small section of John Street between 5S and Bleecker that's closed in the southbound lane, but we're hoping to open it probably on Monday. We did use accelerated concrete to cure, but again, we got the bags over it, and so hopefully, like I said, we'll be able to open that small section by Monday.
All right.
Was there any significant damage that was discovered while the roads were closed?
Our assessment, right there, actually where the water main break was, there was a lot of material got displaced because of the water itself. We, we ended up excavating that whole area, filling that up with what they call a flowable fill, and then capping it with the concrete. But pretty much there was very minor damage done to the rest of the roadway in that area, and that's why we were able to open it up pretty quick yesterday.
We're always talking about infrastructure, and I remember the fire that happened around Broad Street at the metal place where Tim Reed works.
Oh, yeah.
It's the tip of my tongue.
Something steel.
Yeah. Anyway.
Pacemaker.
Pacemaker.
Thank you.
National Grid had a very difficult time trying to shut off the gas line. They couldn't find it, and that fire went on for quite a long time because they couldn't shut off the gas line. The same thing kind of happened here with the water. You had to try to find where that water shutoff was. Is that an issue of, in both of these cases, are we talking about an issue of old infrastructure? This once updated, maybe it'll happen in our lifetime. We certainly are going to need to have these things taken care of: sewer, water, gas lines. Is it old infrastructure? Is that part of the problem?
I'm not too sure about the National Grid, but talking with the Water Authority with this incident, definitely, there was, I think, over 18 valves that they needed to shut down to isolate this. The problem was they are old, and it was freezing. And just to get these valves to seat right, to actually physically close off that section of water, It took quite a bit of time, and there's a lot of pressure with that. I think
right.
it was 100 PSI.
we were single-digit temperatures and overnight below zero temperatures.
Yeah,
so.
those guys, they did a tremendous job though, and worked very hard. So.
And I just kind of wonder, does this all become easier with new infrastructure, which hopefully someday we get to take advantage of?
Well, to the point of someday, the area that you're redoing, this whole odd to broad, as you call it, and the roundabout, does that include the pipes underneath?
Absolutely.
Oh, it does. So
that's part of the work you've been doing recently.
Yep. The work that's been going on there is National Grid's relocation of a lot of their underground electric system that's there.
Right. It includes the sewer system, the water pipes and stuff.
Yes. Yep. There's new storm sewer. There's new sanitary sewer that's going to go in. Also, new water line. So So in that area, there pretty much most of that infrastructure will be replaced.
I think we pointed out earlier this week that particular area, that piping or however we call it, is like 107 years old. It's been there for over 100 years. I think 1912. You might have pointed that out to us, and boy, we can only hope that it lasts.
Yeah,
The new one lasts 100 years.
All right, good stuff. Anything else you want to add?
Nope.
Great job as always, Jim, keeping us up to date with the road closures, everything going on. I can't tell you how great it is to have you providing information, and we just pass it right on to the listeners. Great job.
Thank you very much.
We'll break, 7:32. Coming up, we'll do our free money question of the day. Andrew updates the news. Birthdays to get in as well. Hold on tight. We're coming right back. Then I want to get into this Valley View issue. Should they get rid of the commission? Why is it this thing can't run properly? It's an awesome course. What's going on? We'll get to it coming up at WIBX. Syracuse plays Saturday night at the Dome, right?
No, they're
on the road.
Their next 3 games are on the road. They don't hit the Dome until February 5th.
Right.
They play Virginia Tech on Saturday at 8 o'clock on ESPN2.
8 p.m. Okay, thanks, Davey. We always get all the information. And he's, of course, dressed in orange. And Eric's standing by on the line right now. Good morning, Eric in Utica. How are you?
Good morning, Bill. I'm good. How are you?
$100 on the line. I'll be really, really, really well if you win. So let's do it. $100 on the line from the Hobica Law Firm. Here is your question. You have 7 seconds. Get an answer in. If you're not sure of the answer, make sure you get something in before the buzzer. Here we go. What year was the clubhouse built at the Valley View Golf Course? Ready, go. What year?
1958.
No.
1958. Clubhouse. Was it built in 50?
Okay, I'm thinking of because they just put in a few years ago, almost like a starters area, which I think serves as the clubhouse now. I'm going to say it was 2008.
2003, it was remodeled. Good guess. Mark Williamson, do you know the answer to this? Clubhouse was built in 1960. You were so close, Eric.
Oh, get
1960. He knew.
2 years
he
off.
knew. He just didn't know exactly when. So.
I enjoy playing there. It's a great place.
Listen, you would think this should be a simple deal, right? It's a beautiful golf course, great facility. The restaurant's awesome.
It's
of course,
a
the
shame
restaurant's
if politics ruins it.
It is. So we're going to get into that topic. But Eric, sit tight. Davey's going to hook you up with a 72 Tavern and Grill $25 gift card over at the Adirondack Bank Center. The food's great. The scene is awesome. You can watch. And by the way, you could go there before Pioneers game tonight or tomorrow night, soccer game on Sunday. So sit tight. Davey's going to take care of you.
Thanks, Bill.
All right. Thank you, Eric. Mark Williamson. And so here's a citizen saying this would be great if politics just didn't get in and screw everything up. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So what? Okay, so there was a meeting yesterday.
Wednesday.
And
you always get it wrong when I come in.
I do. Well, actually, we're just testing you. We're
last time I was here, you got it wrong.
We're testing you.
According to our listeners, it has nothing to do with when he's here.
That's right. Yes, it's several times a morning. You just happen to be here for one more of them. Wednesday was the meeting, and is there a chance they're going to get rid of the commission? What's going to happen here?
The end result, I don't want the commission. I put it out there because I kind of felt bad for them because they're all professional men and women. They really don't have that much oversight like they should have. Mm-hmm. And that's where it all came from. The last debacle in the summertime.
This is over the vehicle, over gas, over.
And like I said, I mean, it's not fair to them because at the last minute they'll find out about it.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't it that and I don't know names. I'm just going to throw everything out. So the guy that was running things, I'll make this completely layman. The guy that was running things related to the mayor. All of a sudden, we find out he's using a city car and city gas, personal use, and the mayor says, oops, you can't do that. He's gone. Then all of a sudden, he comes back to say, the mayor told me to do this. He said I could do this. This sounds like maybe this shouldn't be run out of the mayor's office, and it should not be a political appointment favor type thing and run more like a business. Does that sound
correct? And I think the commission, I think their mind's right on a lot of things, but I think a lot of things happen out of their control.
Yeah, their hands are tied.
And that was probably the big thing about throwing this law on the table. Does it mean it's going to happen? I'm open to anything. I just want, and it was great on Wednesday when we had 5 council people there, and I wasn't on an island by myself for the first time, and so, hopefully we can come to a resolution because the commission can be there. It doesn't make a difference to me.
Right.
The reason I just put that out there, to get attention to this thing because it's not fair to them.
So you don't really believe the commission should be eliminated?
Well, yes and no. I mean, if things don't change,
right. So if you have a commission that doesn't have any power and any ability to do anything, then what's the sense in having a commission?
That's my whole premise. But if if we can get it back to where it's supposed to be in 1978, the original law of it, then I'm fine. Leave it in there. But there's got to be one commission member said we need a new paradigm shift. Okay, perfect. That's what I wanted to hear.
Can this be run like other departments, DPW or parks or something, where you have a chief, a head that's not appointed, who sticks around from administration to administration and runs it like it has oversight and authority over the department?
You have the superintendent of buildings, superintendent of the golf course. He's there 12 months out of the year. He's permanent. I know he's got to take the civil service test coming up and everything. And but he's permanent. So would it come under? Sure, I think it would work. He's there 12 months out of the year. You got to remember. I mean, it's a seasonal place, and then when the snow starts flying and the cold and everything else, it's actually shut down. But he's still working on all the equipment for the upcoming year.
Yeah,
and it's just.
And that's not an appointed position. That's he applied for that job.
So you got to take a test. You got to have all your certifications for spraying. I mean, it's a big job.
I have Tina who says, sell the golf course. It's an albatross. Odds are it will never be run as efficiently by political appointees or city employees as it would by a private owner. Now, you just sold the restaurant. And I went to the Rozier Group, so I went to a private owner over there on North Genesee Street. Is this the answer to this?
I don't think so. I think it's a revenue source. Mm-hmm. It can make a lot of money, and if it's run like a business,
right? And, so how do you prevent it from being run like this and being I'm gonna become mayor and I'm gonna give you this because I'm gonna take care of you.
Well, I'm not sure how that. I don't know. I'm not sure how I became the conduit for this whole thing. Just, when I was running for my first time, a lot of people brought up to me, "What's going on with this golf course? Can you fix the golf course?" And I hear a lot of things, a lot of rumors, this, that, a lot of jealousy going on. But as a councilman, as an elected official, I have to check into things because that's my job. And then when you check into things and you find out some of the stuff is true, then you got to take it to the next level in the chain of command. So. And that's what I've been doing. And I try to keep it within the house to try to make it happen and make it work. Because I'm not one of those guys that just run to the newspaper, run to the radio, poor me, poor me. And I'm not that kind of guy. Mm-hmm. I'd rather make sure it works efficiently. And that's why I said Wednesday we had the 5 council people there. We had commission people there.
So tell us what came out of the meeting on Wednesday.
I think it came out very good. I think, my concerns, other council people's concern, one council person says, well, if this was a business and you guys are running it, because he's a business owner, what would you do if you've been losing money for over the years? Well, and then one guy from the commission said, well, I think we need to change our paradigm. I said, exactly.
Yeah.
So, everybody knows the answers. They know what to do. They know what the right thing to do is, but the question, are you going to do it? And that's where it's all coming down to. It's just, the golf course is a beautiful place. You hear a lot of good things about it.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. And we have no overhead. We should be.
Can somebody grab these phone lines ringing off the hook here?
We have very little overhead that other golf courses have. We are the probably the best looking golf course in the area, I think.
Yeah.
Just by visuality and the optics of it all, And
by the way, I had pulled up some other course opened in the mid-1920s, redesigned in 1939 by famed golf architect Robert Trent Jones Sr. and reopened in 1940. We're talking about this is really a legendary golf course. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and then all the years it's been open, we still don't have water fairways. I mean, it really doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You said this was a revenue source or could be a revenue source, and then you mentioned when you sat down and talked to the commission, it was the idea that this course is losing money year after year. Is it a revenue source right now, or is it bleeding money for the city?
And let me add, Tina came back to say, I disagree with Mark. The revenues were always promised and never delivered. It's a waste of taxpayer money.
They're still not taking cards, by the way. Wasn't that one of the big issues, too?
I don't know about that. That was several years ago.
Cash only sounds Utica to me.
This was probably 8 years ago, but I'll never forget it, walking in there and trying to pay with a card.
No, only cash.
What? That's too trackable.
It's like 2009. Are you kidding me?
That is way too trackable.
And that was brought up by the comptroller wants to change that. He said he wants cash.
Is that still the
case?
There's cash there as well as credit card.
Oh, you can take a credit card now. Okay.
So the idea would be to not allow any cash.
Yes,
that was
the comptroller wants to do that, and
the problem with not allowing cash is how do you know cash wasn't allowed?
Right.
You don't. You really don't know. If somebody wants to, right. Hey, this is Utica, Mark. Don't you forget it.
Give me $20 and take a card.
That's exactly it. And by the way, are you running for mayor?
I just keep everybody asking me.
I just have to ask that question.
Wouldn't that be special if I threw my hat in the ring? That would freak everybody out.
It would, which is why I'm asking. I got to ask.
I haven't made a decision. I'm not even sure if I'm going to run again for council. I'm still up in the air on a lot of things.
But you would consider the possibility. Obviously, time is moved up now to June 25th.
Yes, I know. I got a month, and I lay on the couch 1 minute. I say, I'm going to do it. 1 minute, I say, do I need a headache? There's a lot of things. I got a lot of things in the.
So to fairly say, you are considering, at the very least, you're considering.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm a Republican.
And to the question that I had asked before, it loses money each year, the golf course, or it makes the city money each year?
Well, what I heard at this meeting, the budget director said it's in a deficit of $70,000 over the last 3 years. But people say one thing, people say another. So I'm still trying to find out what's the real story.
It has the potential, I'm sure, to be a revenue.
I want to take a couple of calls here. I have a former employee coming up. Also on the lines, Tom in New Hartford on the Valley View. Go ahead, Tom. And, of course, it's Mark Williamson, Utica councilman, who's here in studio. Go ahead.
Hi, Mark. I haven't played golf in quite a while. We had a great time producing the first pro tournament over there a while back, and Hank did a good job for us. Is Hank still in over there? As pro?
Yeah, to this point, I think he is, yeah.
Okay, I'm wondering if Central New York PGA or PGA of America, which is the club pro organization, has some kind of management guidelines for municipal courses that you guys could look into with Hank and maybe have a look at. Right. Certainly, Central New York PGA runs as many golf courses as you can find anywhere in the country. There are more golf holes at 18 a crack per capita here in the 315 area code are anywhere in the country except Phoenix. So they might be able to help out and. Hank's a great pro.
We're talking about Hank Fergel, who is the pro over there. You want to comment on Tom? I'm not sure that we are at that level, but I wouldn't if that's what he says.
Yeah, I think that's been brought
second
up.
to Phoenix, but there's a lot
brought up.
There's a lot of golf here, a lot of opportunities.
No, it's been brought up in the meetings and stuff. Like I said, I'm not a golfer, and I know it's been brought up about bringing in professionals looking at things, and I know the commission, brought in somebody to replace Hank if he retired and everything else. And so I know they've been talking about, so, the commission has been doing that. So.
And you also have a very successful restaurant that's connected to it, which helps, certainly helps.
And amazing food. It's
right?
so creative.
Charles in Utica, former employee at the Valley View. You're on the radio.
Hey, how are you this morning?
Good.
I just heard all this rhetoric going on. I worked under Lulapola. I worked under Ed Hanna, and then I worked with Tim Julian when he became mayor. And I went to Tim, and I showed him where we were coming up zero balance every single year. And his 4 years after when he got in, we made over $100,000 profit each year.
Wow.
So that tells me there's corruption. All the years prior to that, I went to board meetings. I sat with Hank and Tony DeSpirito and Sal Mazura, and I questioned all of their bookwork and their ledgers and their accounting. That place, they drove the members of that golf course away. They took away their carts. They raised their fees. That's why they don't have the play that they do now, because of the people running that program.
All right.
I just needed to let that out.
All right, Charles, you want to comment on that, Mark?
Well, this is
somebody who's been there, he says.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I came back here like in 07, and, you hear all these things over the years, what has happened up there and what's taking place and what's taking place now. And like I said, you don't know what's true and what's not true, but after a while, I mean, you got to start looking into things, because maybe there is, some credibility to some of these people saying.
There's smoke sometimes.
Wayne, you're on the radio. Valley View Golf Course is the topic.
Bill, why can't they just give this thing to the doctor of culinary experts there, Bob Esch? Everything he touches,
You're right.
Why don't they just give it to him and be done with it?
That's a very good point. If anybody can run things these days, it's Rob Esch, right?
That's the truth.
Yeah. All right. I
Well,
like that.
mean,
Wayne.
honestly, I think that's a good idea. Later.
All right. Thanks. Clearly, though, you have a little golden nugget here that needs to be managed properly, and it's time to get it. If there's still this, you become a part of this because you can stick money in your pockets. If there's still that going on today, it's time for that to go away and run this like a real business.
Concur.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, I don't know what's really going on up there. I mean, like I said, I haven't been up there all summer.
So do you think you're stepping up now? You've got the council in. Do you, at the very least, believe there's some talk about making some progress here?
I think there's some light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay. Well, where'd you guys leave it? Is there a follow-up meeting? Is there?
Yeah, what I did is I told them I'm going to leave this local law on the table, and then we'll follow back up in a couple of months.
Right.
That was an idea from another council member. That how about we revisit this in a couple of months before the golf course opens. But we'll leave the local law on the table.
Yeah.
That way, if we have to pull it, we pull it. But a lot of things probably got to happen between now and then. And that's why all five council members were there. And, so they got some stuff to get done before that time happens.
All right, Mark, we appreciate it.
All right.
Keep us posted on any plans that you make, if you would.
Oh, come on now. You guys. I know you guys are all Democrats and stuff.
Oh, that's us. Yeah.
Come on, that's how you leave it. Wow. Oh man.
Come on, and every Democrat is a Republican screaming to get out.
Well, you just completely diverted attention there. Very, very
Andrew
quickly,
didn't go through a ceiling tile when you said that.
Thank you.
Boy, and that's how he leaves, too. How about that?
Thank you, sir.
Got a break. We'll come back here at WIBX. I had audio yesterday of Marilyn Manson.
Okay.
And remember when he played The Odd? That was like controversial. Everybody was very, how could he, it's Marilyn Manson. But do you know what he did? He did a performance over the weekend performing Chris Christopherson's song, Why Me Lord, which is a gospel song. Why me, Lord, what have I ever done to blah, blah, blah. Marilyn Manson did that song. Has he gone soft?
Maybe.
I feel like a lot of these people do.
As they get older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someday, what's her name? The Miley Cyrus. She's going to be doing gospel tunes. In
might be the
20
case.
years.
Yeah,
well, she started with it.
I think she's already doing it.
She'll still be half naked, but she'll be singing to God next time.
Alice Cooper plays golf. I mean, what's the world coming to? It's crazy. All right, Stefan, what do you want? What's up?
Well, hello, Bill, Jeff, Andrew, and Davey.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I'm doing well. I'm going to college.
That's good. Are you at MV? Is that where you are?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yep. I'm happy about the Utica Commons.
Yes, we're all. Listen, here's the thing. I know that you got into it a little bit with Manaski recently, because the rule has been as long as you behave, we'll allow you to come on the radio. But when you don't behave, what happens? We don't let you come on the radio.
Suspension.
Yeah. So you haven't been on the air for a while. You got yourself into a little bit of trouble, right?
Yes.
So you got to not do that stuff, man.
Okay.
Can we have a quick serious conversation? I feel like
because I know very little about this. Manaski's the one that's angry with you.
Yeah,
Stephen
keeps asking me, "Can you talk to Bill to see if I can come back on the air?" And I said, yeah, we'll discuss it on the air. But I ran into Stefan at Cavallo's one night right after the incident had happened, and I think I went up one side and came down the other. We told you couldn't call in. We weren't going to do the lunches anymore. We weren't basically going to be friends and hang out and stuff if unless you stayed on the right path. And then you did some incident at I believe it was a Turning Stone. And you as you were telling me the story, you kind of chuckled it off like it was a funny thing.
Which, by the way, you're lucky that they did what they did with you, because had they called authorities, you would have gone back to jail, man.
Yes, I would have, and that wouldn't have been good.
No. So, listen, we do lunches, we do stuff, we take your calls, we bring you on the radio. That only happens if you behave.
Yes.
All right?
So are we giving him one more chance? Is that what it is? Because he didn't get arrested?
There is no one more chance with me and Stefan. We go back so far. This would be the 100th chance.
Yes.
So what I'm saying to you is that if you've enjoyed the last couple of months where we don't take your calls and bring you on the radio, it's because of your lack of behavior or your behavior. So please, before you do something stupid, think of us, okay?
For the record, I've been a loyal listener.
I know you have, and I appreciate that.
Okay, that's understandable.
Yes. All right. Anything else you want to add? Who is your call for the Super Bowl?
My pick is I think that the Rams and Saints should replay their game, and I would have liked to see the Saints in the Super Bowl and the Saints win it all.
All right, I will, for the record. That's never going to happen, but it would be the coolest freak sports moment ever if they came back and said, if a judge ruled that game had to be played, pick it up with 2 minutes left or something. It would be cool to have that happen, because it would be
and then the Rams still win,
because it would be so awful. But okay, all right. Say goodbye, Stefan.
Goodbye.
All right. You all right with that? Because this was you imposed this. So,
well, because that was the rule.
Yeah.
We had told them, you want to be part of the guys, you want to hang out with the guys and everything. Sure.
So when we had talked to
keep
Stefan,
your nose clean. The
thing that was concerning to me is that the nature of what he did is not something that should be joked about, because there's a lot of people that are, I didn't
want to get into what he did.
Right. So, but my point is that my
it
initial was
resulted-
concern. Are you really,
Yes.
Are you okay, Stefan? And when he said yes, and then he kind of laughed it off, is when Jeff understandably got frustrated.
Yeah. And I will tell you that he also brought someone into the studio a couple of months ago that infuriated me, that began lecturing me on how I take advantage of Stefan and how I make fun of him. And I then responded by saying, get out of the studio. Don't ever come back. I don't know who you are, but you do not understand our relationship with Stefan. And he's a good guy that needs to understand that he's going to get himself wind up back in jail. It's a wrong place for this kid to have to go.
Right.
And he's not a kid anymore. That's the other thing. He's an adult. So anyway,
I wish someone would take advantage of me like that. It's more free lunches than you can shake a stick at.
A lot of free lunches. I got a break. Hold on. Coming back, Nagel is in this hour with our beer of the week. We'll talk to the mayor of Whitesboro also on the flooding over there. The governor's visit yesterday. And if he feels that we're really going down the road of some sort of a real solution here, if that's possible. We'll get to all of it coming up this hour. WIBX. Good morning. It is Friday morning. Nagel in with our beer of the week. Before we, let's get this going right now, and then I'll do what I want to do here. Good morning, Nagel.
Good morning.
So this has a full meal smell to it, like it's breakfast.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of maple syrup in it. It's from Woodland up in Marcy.
It does have a little maple syrup.
It actually has syrup in it.
Yes.
Oh.
It's it's fermented with maple syrup from Tibbetts Farm.
It smells amazing. It tastes even better.
It is really good.
So after last week's debacle,
where the calories in this.
Absolutely, 7.2% alcohol. So it'll get you going.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, pass it over here. We'll
I will, because I can only have a sip of it based on my diet.
Nice.
We'll get through that too,
pretty
Nagel,
strong.
don't you worry.
All right.
Jeff will be smoking in no time.
Oh, are you quitting again?
Oh, you don't know what we've been through this week.
You have
It's
no idea,
been,
man. So for the first time in my adult life, I went a whole day without cigarettes on Monday. I haven't had a cigarette since Sunday night. I think we're going to change that tonight. Last night was the worst. I'm telling you, I felt like a heroin addict. I was in bed staring at the ceiling, like scratching my chest.
Yeah, I believe it.
It's a serious nicotine withdrawal.
And here's the funny thing.
It actually is making you feel sick.
Some people, my ear was all plugged. I really appreciate the listeners who've reached out. Tawny had some great advice, and there was a guy named John who reached out, and he said, keep it up with the nicotine-free. I have a confession to make. I have a patch, a lozenge, you name it. I have
that's
nicotine
better
gum.
than smoking.
Right, but I'm not nicotine-free. I'm cigarette-free, and still, the only thing, and people are like, well, wait a minute. You're still on the nicotine and you're having all this trouble? Yes. The only thing I can think of to say to you is, say you wanted to have a beer on a Friday night, and they said, here's a sticker, put it on your hand, that's your beer.
Right.
It's not the same thing.
No,
it's not even close.
No, I quit smoking using the patch, and then stupidly, I was at a Yankee game, and the guy next to me was packing a dip.
Yeah.
And I said, ooh, I haven't had one of those since high school. Maybe I should try that. So then for the next 6 years, I was addicted to
that became your thing.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And that was harder to quit than, and it is. It's disgusting, you know. But that was harder to quit than cigarettes. So I finally went to the vape pens, and every time I wanted a dip, I would just take a vape pen, and those are so unsatisfying.
And did you
eventually you just grow bored of it, and you just
give up. What am I doing to myself here?
I got to tell you, the drug, and that was Tawny that
Tawny, with the gum.
Is it Chantix or whatever
Chantix,
that is?
Yep.
That might be. I mean, because it's clinical. It is an actual withdrawal that you're going through. So.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but can you imagine that? Imagine you start every day with your Diet Pepsi, or anybody listening. If you start your day with a what am I thinking of? Coffee. That's another thing. My brain's not working. Or if on a Friday night you wanted to have a beer, and I understand smoking is awful. It's like the worst thing you can do for your health. But if someone said to you, "Listen, you really shouldn't have the coffee anymore," or whatever your thing is.
Yeah.
But this sticker has coffee in it. So wear this sticker. It's just like having a cup of coffee. It's so different. Like even just holding a warm cup, putting it up to your lips, the way you sip it, the way you swallow, all that stuff. I mean, you mentioned the vape. I was on the vape last night because I was freaking out, thinking that would help. And it's like a wet, cool inhale where like a cigarette, it's like a warm, dry. It's just a totally different thing. I'm sorry, I'll stop.
I love ketchup, and somebody said, well, just get the sugar-free ketchup. It's delicious. It's disgusting.
Right?
Same type of crap.
Get the ketchup patch.
Yeah. Just rub a tomato on it.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Oh, man.
Shredder.
Are these seeds in here?
Is
this beer, by the way, is from Woodland
Brewing
so
Company,
Marcy.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is called their syrup sucker, and you can only get it on draft up there, or in a 32-ounce crawler can that they'll fill for you.
Okay. What is that? I don't know what
crawler?
that is.
So this is a growler.
That's a growler.
64 ounces. A crawler is half this size, and it's a can that they can fill and then seal for you.
That's really cool.
Kidding.
Yeah, they keep really well.
You crack it open like you would a can of beer. No kidding, and it's huge. It's 32 ounces.
Doesn't fit in your cup holder.
How long does does beer last in a growler like this?
If you don't open the growler, probably up to a week or two.
If you open it.
If you open it, you should drink it that day.
Okay. Same thing with a can. It's just like a regular can. If you open
sounds
the can,
like a challenge.
How long can you keep a hard-boiled egg in your refrigerator?
Ooh.
Anybody know the answer to that?
I'm going to say 4 or 5 days.
According to the
peeled or unpeeled
health department, either way, it doesn't matter.
Oh.
Anybody know the answer?
I'm going to say
you
it's
said
longer
4 or
than
5 days.
4 or 5
1
days,
hour,
probably
about
like a month.
1 hour is what you're saying. Because the last thing you want to do is leave a hard-boiled egg in the fridge for too long.
1 hour.
You're going back to the Price is Right thing. So yeah,
It's been on my mind all week. Sorry.
The answer is 1 week. Exactly 1 week. You have 7 days.
What happens after 1 week?
It gets bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For who?
And it can be bad for anyone who eats it.
Okay.
And the problem is if you leave it in there and it's not been peeled, people, you're somebody's going to go in there. Oh, this is a fresh, and it's not, and you'll know it's bad because it gets really smelly.
Yeah, it won't only affect the person who ate it, but everybody in their proximity for the next 2 days.
Yeah. Speaking of the Price is Right, but last night on Wheel of Fortune there was a woman that was solving the puzzle, and I forgot what it was. Corn blank. I don't know if anybody watched this last night. I don't have audio on it. On Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
Corn blank. So there was corn syrup, there was corn, and it came down. She'd gotten all of them. She called all the letters out. She's made all this money, and it came down to there was one left. FLA blank E. Now remember, the theme of the puzzle is corn blank. FLA blank E. And he said, Sajak said, okay, pick a letter. Dead air. She could not come up with it. She finally said P. P? No, not P. I've never heard of corn flake. Corn flake. She missed flake.
Oh, flake.
My goodness.
The other person spins. They get $500. They do K. They win the puzzle.
Wow.
Yeah, that's, by the way,
Can I have a hot
how
take?
exciting my life is.
I have a hot take.
Okay.
Wheel of Fortune is the worst game show ever.
It might be. It might very well.
I don't want to watch people play Hangman.
I know, and that's kind of what it is when you think about it.
Awful.
Yeah.
And that bankrupt wheel, they've got to wait on it. That thing hits all the time.
The only reason that Wheel of Fortune has been on for 40 years is because it's between the news and Jeopardy.
I don't know, because I got to tell you, those two programs are hot. They pull in numbers. They pull in ratings. It's unbelievable. And you think it's because
old people fall asleep during the news and then wake up halfway through Jeopardy,
and then all of a sudden I got to wait for Okay, so the TV was on during that whole time, so they get credit for it. All right, if you believe that. All right. A couple of other things. Tell me if this is true or not. A new study is out that says screen time, TV, computer, cell phone, etc. Screen time is actually not harmful. True or false?
That's false.
That is absolutely true, according to this new study. That all this stuff about how everything is so harmful, they're saying it's not true.
Well, it absolutely is harmful. Who did the study?
Hold on, I got to click through to see who did the study. It was Apple.
Yes.
Let's see. Calm down, parents. A rigorous new Oxford study of 350,000. What does a dictionary know?
Oxford. They make shirts.
350,000. I knew we'd all have a line there for that. 350,000 teens shows screen time is about as dangerous as potatoes. Not dangerous. All right, here's another one. True or false? Amazon has just released a self-driving delivery robot named Scout. It is now inactive. It's active.
True.
That is true. Yeah. Tony Hawk has a new clothing line.
Where's my sound effect for who cares?
Who cares? Good point. Very good point. Ticket prices for this year's Super Bowl are the lowest in years. That is true. And I think it has to do with the fact that everybody's kind of sick of the Patriots being in.
Yeah.
The Eagles aren't in, right?
Well, yeah, that hurts me.
Plays a role. It says Rams fans don't want to fly to Atlanta, so you've got a long trip. So a lot of people aren't buying tickets.
I think if you can afford Super Bowl tickets, you're not unaccustomed to long flights.
You're probably right,
No.
and you probably are able to fly conveniently.
Yeah.
But you do have those hard fans that are diehard fans that will scrape up the money and put themselves in debt just to be able to go to a game, and they're not taking advantage. Here's one. True or false? A marijuana company is giving away free weed to government workers affected by the shutdown.
That's true, but it's stupid because it's federally illegal. I think they could be fired if they tested
or drug
positive
tested.
for it.
That is, well, and do we really want our air traffic controllers?
Calm?
Yeah.
Oh,
calm?
sorry,
Yeah,
I missed that one.
And that's all I really have for you. But those are some good ones. Those are the screen time thing was shocking for me. But again, this is Oxford University that did this study, so they say not dangerous.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, just even from the point of tech neck, that you're hunched over and
right.
Well, they sell that
screen.
vitamin supplement that's like blue something. For the blue in your eyes.
What's her name? The Supreme Court Justice
Ginsburg.
She wasn't caused by a cell phone.
No.
Okay.
Well, actually, her regimen,
just for the record,
according to this study,
that's from 200 years on Earth.
It might be. That might be the case. Wow. All right, let me break. We'll come back 8:30.
That defends you.
This has gone down a lack of nicotine road here this morning. It is the final weekend of January, which means Accent Magazine is published, and the Observer Dispatch and Times Telegram take a class at the Mohawk Valley Institute for Learning in Retirement. MVILR. Oh, I speak to this group here. Cross country. It's an awesome group of retirees.
Yeah.
That they'll debate stuff, and they're very a good group of people. Anyway, I'll be doing that coming up, I think, in May. What else? Cross country ski or snowshoe from Brea. Visit an art gallery to see the works of a local artist and enjoy breakfast at expanded Boulevard Diner, which is completely remodeled right now. It's all in Accent Magazine. It's available this weekend in the Utica OD and Times Telegram Saturday. Sunday's OD. You must be a subscriber, though. UticaOD.com/subscribe now. And the same for the Times Telegram /subscribe now and become a subscriber, and then you're able to get Accent Magazine. A couple that are lingering here. Are you ready?
Yeah.
The average American, true or false? The average American laughs 8 times a day.
It's not enough. I'm going to say that's true.
That is true. Yeah, and probably not enough. And then one more. Pizza Hut is changing their name to Pizza Hut Hut for the Super Bowl. That's true.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Boy, they're
stupid.
I can't believe it's taken them this long to come up with that idea.
Pizza Hut.
Well, because is Papa John's out now? Is Pizza Hut the new?
Yeah, ever since he kissed Peyton Manning, he was out.
Little Caesars bringing back soft pretzel crust pizza. Oh, that's not the same thing. But, yeah, they're changing their name just for Super Bowl Sunday to Pizza Hut. That'll sell pizzas.
Yes.
That will sell. All right, I know that the mayor of Whitesboro has to get on his way. There's a big breakfast, right? A legislative breakfast going on this morning. Andrew, can you?
There is, but I'm not attending.
Oh, you're not attending that, but you have to be on. All right, let's talk about the flooding in Whitesboro. Robert Friedlander is the mayor of Whitesboro. Once again, this becomes a huge problem. It's like Groundhog Day.
Keeps repeating itself.
But this time the governor seems to come in with a plan. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a great idea that the governor finally came. And the problem has been going on for many years.
Yeah.
I've been on the village board now for 9 years, and this is not the first flood or potential disaster that I've had to deal with. And every time we've always say is we can do all this work up on the stream,
right?
But if we don't alleviate this problem at the CSX bridge, it's like a cork.
Yeah,
it's going to continue to happen.
And that's so, especially when you've got ice in that water, and all of a sudden it creates a cork.
It just all builds up and builds up, and then starts to overflow the banks, and that's exactly what happened.
So, do you have any idea how long this is going to? So, the governor says he's going to reach out to CSX and put pressure on them to make a move. How long does this process take? And do you feel like this is going to be that he's going to be able to talk them into fixing this thing?
I think something's going to happen. Yes.
Yeah.
And I have contacts with the governor's office that I was talking with before this even happened. And I am going to pursue those contacts next week and hopefully see there's some progress.
Yeah.
Can you talk about, you had said yesterday, and I hope this is still true, as of late yesterday afternoon, you had not heard in this case from any homeowners who had flooded basements and properties. Not properties, I should say, their homes had not been flooded. Is that still the case?
When I spoke to you yesterday, nobody had told me of any cases of water in the cellar. However, I did learn around dinner time last night there was a resident that had some water. I do not know how much. There was one resident I was aware of that had called the fire department to come check and pump out their cellar. Now, that might not have been from flood water. That might have just been from groundwater that had seeped into their cellar. But other than one particular, I did not hear of any others.
A lot of sump pumps were running in basements yesterday just because we had so much rain on top of the melting snow and all of that. But then when this creek began, and it was, you could see there was going to be a problem. It was rapidly running, and there were big ice chunks in there. And so... what's to prevent this from happening again in the springtime? Chances are it's going to.
Very likely could happen. Yeah. I don't say it's never going to happen again because then that's a lie. Unfortunately, we cannot control what's going to happen in the weather.
All right.
Has CSX ever been down there for maintenance, for repairs, to look at it, to assess it? At least in the last year or two that you've known.
I haven't had any conversation with CSX. I know they're a tough organization to have a conversation with. The county, the state, the town, the village, we're not necessarily waiting for CSX to give us permission to help alleviate some of that. We do have a program right now, a process that we're trying to do, putting more tunnels underneath the CSX track so the water can get out through the tunnels because the bridge isn't big enough.
Okay. I have somebody asking, what can be done with the bridge? Do you have to raise the bridge? Is that what it has to happen?
I'm not an engineer, Bill, but it would seem to me that the water goes up and hits the bridge, and then the ice can't flow underneath it. The bridge should be raised higher.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you know how much that would cost if the state or the county or the town and village had to take care of it?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I know
it's not their responsibility, though.
No, it's not. But if CSX is not, I'll say it this way: my understanding is they're not doing anything wrong. Right, it's not like it's an illegal bridge. It just needs to be, to accommodate this problem and to fix this problem, it would need to be higher. It's not like it's an illegal bridge. It's not a broken bridge.
So
it's not.
They
own the property,
the
right?
Would have to do
but
it,
in order to alleviate this problem, the bridge has to be higher. Now, you would have to get permission from them if the city, town, village, county, whatever, wanted to replace the bridge. CSX would have to allow you to do it because it's their property.
Obviously, yes, but we wouldn't want to take on something like that for engineering reasons alone.
Yeah,
we wouldn't want to take the liability if we didn't raise the bridge right and the train come off the track.
Sure.
What's going to probably end up happening, my guess is that the governor is going to work with them. There's going to be state funding that will allow to have this thing done, and they'll come to some sort of an agreement. But I'm assuming to raise that bridge, you're going to have to build another one right next to it, right? You can't shut down that line.
CSX has clearly said they will not shut down that line.
Right.
They will lose too much. Numerous number of trains run through there on a daily basis, and they need to keep that going.
And then the only other thing is, it's not going to completely prevent flooding, because once that water comes up and comes over the banks, it's probably going to at some points when the flooding is really bad. Am I wrong with that?
I know that there's a large project going on right now in Sequoia Creek. They're doing what they call flood benches, and that's where the water goes out onto that rather than flooding over its banks. And I know that there's projects going on above the CSX bridge, and they want to do a big project down there right at the bridge. Never before has there been such a large project to undertake this flooding problem as there has started last year.
And ultimately, once you create that dam, which really the bridge is creating a dam, it's stopping that. That's when things get really, really bad. Larry asked this question. Are you ready? What happens first? Cuomo does something or the shutdown ends? Cuomo has a lot of lip service. You want to comment on that? Do you think this time is different?
Well, I think he went on camera and he's people. He said that he was done. Enough was enough. And like I said, I don't know what I can do as a local mayor, but I certainly will be making phone calls as early as next week to his staff saying, what has he done?
And I will tell you, I really, knowing the way Cuomo tends to work, usually there's something that precipitates the visit.
Yeah.
So there's a solution somewhere back there that we haven't heard about yet.
Yep.
So the visit comes, the solution will be he's usually
he's got a trick up his sleeve.
Minus Nano. He's usually pretty good about trying to make sure that he doesn't waste a trip with a failure. So, and I'm not, well, you're a Cuomo lover. No, I'm just stating the facts. Erase Nano, and he's very, very careful. I think Nano has put a big, bold underline on that. Don't go out and promise something that isn't going to happen. That's why I'm thinking there might already be something out there underway of some sort of a solution, and let's hope that's the case.
I agree.
All right, Mayor, anything else?
Is it true that Cuomo said that they're going to build a bridge and CSX is going to pay for it? Is that?
No.
Oh, he didn't say that. Okay. I thought I heard that. I don't know.
The city of Mexico near Syracuse is going to pay for it. That's where that railway ends up.
That's right. That's right.
All right, Mayor. Thanks so much. We appreciate it.
One last note, I wore a tie because I'm old.
You're.
Thanks for
the
listening,
first thing
Mayor.
my wife said. That's exactly.
Thank you
it.
for having me.
Thank you, Nagel. I want you to talk about. You have a couple of events coming up here. That
if you want to practice the virtuous practice of drinking buried acorn beer, you can join me tonight down at Nail Creek from 5 to 8.
And it'll be buried acorn tonight.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And we'll have, I believe, 6 different drafts for you to try. I'll have some pint glasses and stickers and other stuff to give away. Sunday, I'll be
nicotine stickers.
No, not nicotine. Yeah, beer light stickers.
Yeah,
no.
It's scratch and smoke.
So, and then Sunday I'll be at the Keeler for their brunch, and we'll have 5 courses and 5 different beers from Buried Acorn.
I didn't know they had. So they have a brunch on Sunday.
They don't ordinarily offer brunch, but once in a blue moon they'll.
Wow, that's
do
good to know.
And there's a blue moon this weekend.
Yeah, what do you?
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know.
No, at the Keeler there is.
Yeah.
Once in a blue moon.
And then on Tuesday I'll be at the Taylor and the Cook for a great beer dinner. Still some seats available for that. Tim Hardiman does an amazing job, as you know.
I love this
second
food.
to none, and the beers that I'm bringing to that are something you want to try.
Okay.
So I promise I won't disappoint either. But
cool.
So
it's a pairing?
A chance.
Yes, it's a beer dinner. You can call Taylor and the Cook for reservations.
Cool.
Get right in.
Tonight, Sunday, and the Taylor and the Cook thing is on Tuesday.
Correct.
I want to bring up this Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the congresswoman that's getting all the attention. Do you watch what happens when she walks down like the hallways? There are like 50 cameras on her.
They're
following her
fascinated
everywhere she goes. And it's you could say, well, that's what the left media. No. Fox News is all over her because she says these things that are way out there.
She's the most overachieving bartender since me.
It's really. I don't want to make.
That's true.
I don't want to make the comparison to you, but she is an overachiever, boy, and I'm not sure that everybody's going to finally figure out that. Maybe they will figure out that she really doesn't know what she's talking about. And here's
Did you hear that? Did you hear that, listener?
Here's a great.
Bill said Alex Ocasio-Cortez does not know what she's talking
about. Do they really think that
Alexandria either?
That she's my politics?
Yes.
Oh Lord, I can't believe it.
Well, you're such part of the left-wing media.
A Washington Post fact checker. So the Washington Post fact checked her when she began talking about minimum wage, and her statement was the majority of people in America are barely making minimum wage.
Which doesn't make sense because then there wouldn't be a minimum wage. If you don't even make the minimum wage, then there wouldn't be a minimum wage.
Well, so this reporter at the Washington Post, they gave her 3 Pinocchios for that comment. She then responded, and this is the thing. This woman doesn't back down. Mm-hmm. This young woman, she doesn't back down. She goes right back into it and starts fighting on Twitter, and she did. She said, if the point of fact-checking is to enforce some objective standard, why would Glenn Kessler at the Washington Post use a Walmart-funded think tank as reference material for wage fairness? That's like citing the foxes to fact-check the hens. Here's 4 Geppettos for your contested Pinocchios, she wrote on Twitter. So the reporter responded to her response. In his response, Kessler tweeted a screenshot of an addition to his story that said Jason Furman is the author of the study, not some Walmart-funded study. Jason Furman previously served as chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors under President Obama, before telling his followers, don't always believe what you see on Twitter. And she's completely wrong. And what he said is, had she said that Listen, almost half of America is stuck on at a level of minimum wage. A third of America. She probably could have gotten away with that statement.
Sure.
But by saying basically most of America, most Americans live on minimum wage, that is not an accurate fact. And beyond that, the thing that the reporter pointed out, and I think this is important to note, Walmart starts their employees out at $11 an hour, which is above minimum wage. Additionally, Amazon recently made the announcement that they're paying their employees $15 an hour. Now, ask the pizzeria owner who tries to, or any business owner in our community. That's great. Your employees can go and work at Amazon for $15 an hour. There's no way that restaurant or that pizzeria or what have you, that local business can afford to pay $15 an hour to employees that are starting out.
Agreed.
To every single employee. I don't think that can. And if they can't afford it, that means they've had to raise their prices. So if we want that, we all better be willing to pay more for your hot dogs, more for your burgers, more for anything you buy in the store, right?
Yeah, if the busboy's making $15 an hour, your chicken parm's not costing
It can't
$8.
cost what it's costing now, because let me tell you something. Ask any pizzeria owner. The minute he raises by a nickel some pizza prices because their ingredients have gone up, and sometimes the ingredients go sky high. These guys get hit with some real tough situations, and I'm just talking pizzerias.
I'll take beer for 100.
The customers lay into them over that. I'm not paying an extra 20 cents.
How come the Utica Club is $1.50?
Yeah, that's exactly it. What the hell? Hey, I got to go. We're back on Monday. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe out there.